Welcome to Dark Love Psychology. Today we delve into a realm of power that operates beyond the spoken word. We are exploring a force so fundamental to human interaction that its absence is often more impactful than its presence. It is a force that is frequently misunderstood, dismissed as emptiness or uncertainty. But in reality, it is one of the most potent instruments of influence you can possess. This isn't a new discovery. It is a timeless tool, wielded by the most influential figures throughout history. Think of the Stoic emperors who commanded legions with a quiet gaze, the master negotiators who shifted the balance of power without raising their voice, the artists who captivated the world by what they left unsaid or unpainted. They understood that true influence isn't about the volume of your voice, but the weight of your presence. And the most remarkable thing? This power isn't reserved for kings, queens, or titans of industry. It requires no special status, no inherited wealth, no specific genetic makeup. It is a skill, a discipline, available to every single one of us, waiting to be unlocked. We are talking about the unspoken power of strategic silence. Picture a typical social gathering or a high-stakes business meeting. There's always one person who dominates the conversation, filling every available second with their opinions, anecdotes, and nervous laughter. They are a fountain of words, desperate to hold the spotlight. Now scan the room. Somewhere, perhaps in the corner or at the head of the table, is another person. They are not competing in this verbal marathon. They are quiet, and yet you find your eyes drawn to them. You wonder what they're thinking. This person, the one who says the least, is often the one who holds the most genuine power in the room. They sit back, not in passive disinterest, but in active observation. They are a data collector in a world of broadcasters. They watch the subtle shifts in body language, listen to what is being said, and absorb the underlying emotional currents of the group. They are not just hearing, they are listening on a deeper frequency. And so, when they finally choose to speak, their words are not just another drop in the ocean of noise. They are a perfectly aimed stone, sending ripples across the entire pond. Every word lands with incredible weight, because it is informed, intentional, and rare. This magnetic pull is not a coincidence. It is the result of a deliberate, albeit often intuitive, strategy. It is the mastery of a form of communication that speaks volumes without uttering a single sound. It is a psychological chess game, where the most powerful move is often to not move at all, forcing your opponent to reveal their own strategy. We live in an age of unprecedented noise. Our phones buzz with endless notifications. Social media feeds scream for our attention. The 24-hour news cycle demands our constant engagement. In this relentless cacophony, everyone is competing to be heard, to have their take, to make their mark. The result is a devaluation of words themselves. They have become cheap, disposable. In this saturated marketplace of chatter, silence has become the ultimate luxury. It is a signal of high value, a rare and precious commodity that immediately sets you apart from the crowd. This fear of quiet is deeply ingrained in us. From a young age, we are socially conditioned to view silence in conversation as a failure. A pause feels like a void, a moment of social tension that must be filled immediately. We rush in with filler words, nervous questions, or meaningless pleasantries, all to avoid the perceived judgment that comes with stillness. We equate silence with awkwardness, a lack of intelligence, or a crippling lack of confidence. But here at Dark Love Psychology, we challenge you to see the truth, which is precisely the opposite. The compulsion to fill silence is often a sign of insecurity, a need for external validation. True power, authentic confidence, doesn't need to announce itself with a trumpet. It doesn't need to shout to be recognized. It has a gravitational pull of its own. Think of it this way. A firecracker makes a loud bang to get attention, but it's gone in an instant. The sun, in its silent, massive power, holds entire planets in its orbit without making a sound. Let's be clear. Silence, when used strategically, is not an absence of communication. It is one of its most sophisticated and impactful forms. It is a nonverbal broadcast. It conveys control, not of others, but of yourself. It signals a deep, unshakable confidence that doesn't rely on the approval or agreement of those around you. This profound self-assurance is intensely magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who seem centered and unneedy. By being silent, you create a vacuum. You introduce an element of mystique. While everyone else is laying their cards on the table, you keep yours close to your chest. This makes people curious. They begin to project their own ideas of wisdom and intelligence onto you. They lean in, both literally and figuratively, desperate to know what you're thinking. You've made your thoughts a scarce resource, and in doing so, you have exponentially increased their perceived value. This video is your comprehensive guide to understanding, mastering, and harnessing this profoundly underrated skill. We won't just discuss the theory. We will provide you with a practical framework, a mental toolkit that you can begin applying in your life immediately. Together, we will unpack the deep psychology at play. We'll explore principles like cognitive dissonance, where your silence forces others to reconcile their own thoughts. We'll touch on the scarcity principle, which we've mentioned, and how it applies to your words. We will examine how a calculated pause can interrupt conversational patterns and reset the power dynamic in your favor, creating a potent pull of attraction and commanding deep-seated respect. You will learn to reframe silence in your own mind. It is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is a conscious, active choice. It is a strategic move that can fundamentally shift the dynamics of any interaction, whether it's a first date, a salary negotiation, or a difficult family discussion. It is the difference between being a pawn, moved by the whims of the conversation, and being the player who sees the entire board. Most human interaction operates on a reactive loop: stimulus, response, stimulus, response. It's a verbal tennis match. Silence is your power to press pause. It allows you to step out of that frantic, reactive cycle and ascend to a position of calm observation and deliberate control. In that space you create between someone else's words and your own response, you find your freedom. You are no longer a slave to impulse. You are the master of your intention. By becoming comfortable with silence, you become the conductor of the social orchestra. You set the pace. You dictate the rhythm. You force others to adjust to you, not the other way around. You become the one who holds the space, creating an arena of focused attention. And because of this, your words, when they finally arrive, are not just heard, they are felt. They have the power to persuade, to comfort, to command, to change everything. Throughout our journey today, we will systematically dismantle the pervasive and damaging misconception that being quiet means being overlooked or invisible. In fact, we will prove to you that the opposite is true. We are going to show you precisely how to get noticed, respected, and desired, not by shouting louder, but by cultivating a powerful and compelling quietude. We will transform what you may have perceived as a social liability into your greatest asset. Now, a crucial point must be made. This is not about becoming a cold, calculating manipulator or playing insincere games with people's emotions. That is the path of shallow, short-term gains. This is about mastering a deeper, more authentic level of communication that most people are completely unaware of. It's about integrity. It's about choosing your words with care because you respect yourself and the person you are speaking to. It is about listening more than you speak, not as a tactic, but as a genuine path to understanding. This is authentic power, not coercive control. By the end of our time together, you will no longer see silence as an empty, awkward void that needs to be frantically filled. That old fear will be replaced with a new understanding. You will see silence for what it truly is, a canvas upon which you can paint meaning, a strategic pause that builds romantic tension and attraction, a moment of quiet consideration that establishes your authority in the boardroom, a space of inner stillness that grants you a profound sense of clarity amidst the chaos of modern life. This is a tool that will revolutionize your relationships, accelerate your career, and fundamentally change the way you experience your own life. The world is loud, but influence is quiet. Prepare to transform how you interact with the world and how the world interacts with you. It's time to learn the language that cuts through the noise. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Silence commands respect. In a world obsessed with noise, a constant cacophony of digital alerts and social pressures, we have been conditioned to believe that the person who speaks the most holds the most power. From the boardroom to our social feeds, the loudest voice is often mistaken for the most important one. We instinctively equate talking with contribution and volume with authority. We feel a relentless pressure to have an immediate opinion, to fill every pause, to prove our engagement by adding to the noise. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of human psychology and the true nature of influence. It's a confusion of activity with progress, of sound with substance. True respect is not given to those who demand it with loud words, but to those who command it with quiet strength. It is earned not through auditory dominance, but through presence. When you remain calm and silent in a conversation, especially when others are rushing to fill the void, you send a powerful unspoken message. You are demonstrating emotional regulation, a hallmark of maturity and leadership. You signal that you are not driven by insecurity or a need for external validation. You are grounded, you are secure, and you are confident. Your silence communicates that you are in control, not of the conversation, but of yourself, which is far more powerful. This quiet confidence is magnetic. It leverages the scarcity principle. In a world where everyone is giving their opinion away for free, your thoughtful silence becomes a rare and valuable commodity. People are instinctively drawn to those who seem unshakable and possess a strong inner core, wondering what depths lie beneath the still surface. Think about it. When someone is desperate to be heard, constantly interrupting, talking over others, and rushing to finish their sentences, what does that truly communicate? It often signals a deep-seated anxiety, a fear of being overlooked or considered unimportant. They are broadcasting, not communicating. Their frantic energy, their need to fill every second with sound, can be draining and ultimately pushes people away. It reveals a lack of faith in their own value. Conversely, the person who is comfortable with silence exudes a sense of self-possession. They are not afraid of the pause. In fact, they wield it as a tool. They do not need to prove their worth by dominating the conversation. Their calmness suggests that they are not just hearing words, but are listening intently, processing information on a deeper level, connecting ideas, and observing the nonverbal cues that others miss. They are in complete control of their own emotional state, and this composure is contagious, often calming the entire room. Consider a high-stakes business meeting. The air is thick with competing agendas and rising tension. Imagine a CEO who sits through the entire discussion, listening patiently as their team debates solutions and points fingers. They don't interrupt, they don't offer premature opinions or get drawn into the emotional fray. They simply absorb the information, their silence a powerful presence that allows every perspective to be aired. During this time, they are not passive. They are synthesizing, identifying the core issue beneath the noise, and seeing the entire chessboard while others are focused on their single piece. Then, after everyone has had their say and the energy has peaked, a natural silence falls. The CEO leans forward slightly. Perhaps they only say a few sentences. In that moment, the entire room is captivated. Every single word is analyzed, carrying the weight of all the listening that came before it. Their statement cuts through the complexity like a knife. It's not just another opinion, it is the verdict. It provides clarity, direction, and a path forward. That is the power of strategic silence. This dynamic is not limited to corporate life. It's equally, if not more, powerful in our personal, social, and romantic settings. Picture a first date. One person, driven by nerves, talks incessantly. They recount their life story, their job, their hobbies, barely pausing for breath. The other listens more than they speak. They are present, engaged, and comfortable with the natural ebb and flow of conversation, including the quiet moments. Who appears more grounded, more secure, more intriguing? The nervous talker may seem friendly, but the quiet listener appears confident and genuinely interested in the other person, not just in being interesting themselves. The quiet individual creates space for the other person to be themselves, to feel heard and valued. This builds a powerful sense of connection and trust. Their silence also builds a sense of mystery and depth. Their measured responses suggest their thoughts are valuable and not given away freely, making their date eager to learn more. They become a puzzle to be solved, which is far more alluring than an open book. Ultimately, your silence trains people how to treat your words. Think of your words as a currency. If you spend them constantly on trivial matters, their value deflates. But if you invest them strategically, they yield immense returns in influence and respect. By speaking less, you non-verbally communicate that your thoughts are a resource not to be wasted. People learn that when you do contribute, it's because you have something important to say. This creates anticipation. They stop what they're doing. They lean in. They prepare to receive something of value. When you finally break that silence, your words land like a carefully aimed arrow, hitting their mark with precision and force. This is how you transform your voice from mere sound into an instrument of influence. It is the difference between being a firework, loud, scattered, and quickly forgotten, and being a lighthouse, silent, steady, and a beacon that guides others through the storm. This is how you ensure that when you speak, People don't just hear you, they truly listen. Chapter 2. Silence creates mystery. Mystery is attractive. People are curious about what they don't fully understand. When you don't reveal everything immediately, it builds intrigue and interest. Silence makes others wonder what you're thinking. Example: a man on a first date doesn't overshare. He listens more, smiles slightly, lets pauses breathe. The other person starts filling in the gaps, leaning in emotionally. In negotiations, silence after someone speaks often makes them feel pressure to say more. Chapter 3. Silence gives you control. People who can stay silent are not emotionally reactive. They control the tempo of the interaction. Silence allows you to observe instead of react impulsively. Example: in an argument, the person who stays silent gains the upper hand. The other person often reveals more, gets emotional, or weakens their stance. This works in workplace negotiations too. Silence after a salary offer often leads the other side to increase the offer. Chapter 4. Silence exposes the truth. When you stop talking, you give others space to reveal themselves. People are uncomfortable with silence. They'll fill it by talking, often exposing their real thoughts or intentions. Silence becomes your listening weapon. Example: in sales, experienced negotiators pause intentionally. Many clients start offering objections or solutions themselves. In personal conversations, pausing after someone lies or hides something often makes them nervous and spill more. Chapter 5. Silence gives you time to think. Talking fast can lead to regret. Silence lets your emotions cool down and your logic kick in. It's not just about power over others, it's about mastery over yourself. Example: before answering a tough question in an interview or argument, pause. That pause shows composure and intelligence. Politicians and lawyers use silence to build tension, control the narrative, and buy time to respond strategically. Chapter 6. How to use silence effectively. The 3-second pause. Before replying, breathe and pause. It signals control. Strategic pauses in storytelling. Pausing during key moments makes your message more powerful. Eye contact. Silence. This combination creates massive impact and dominance in conversation. Mirror silence. When others stop, don't rush to fill in. Let them talk more. Example: public speakers use pauses to make audiences feel the weight of their words. In dating, maintaining eye contact without rushing creates tension and chemistry. Chapter 7. When silence becomes a weakness. Silence is powerful, but silence from fear or insecurity backfires. If you're silent because you're scared to express yourself, it creates distance, not power. Silence should be a choice, not a cage. Example: in relationships, silent treatment can hurt trust. In leadership, avoiding communication can make people lose confidence in you. Learn the difference between controlled silence and fear-based silence. We've reached the end of our journey. Remember this: silence is not weakness. In a world that rewards noise, it's a deliberate strategy. It's the quiet confidence of presence, and it is profound power. When you master it, silence commands respect without you demanding it. Your words become more valuable, forcing others to listen. This builds an aura of mystery, making people intrigued by what you aren't saying. From this position, you gain control, not by dominating, but by guiding the conversation, affording you clarity to respond with precision and impact. But this power must be used wisely. It's not about being mute, it's about being intentional. In negotiations, relationships, and leadership, choose your moments of silence as carefully as you choose your words. When you do, your presence resonates on a deeper level. People will feel the weight of your attention and the depth of your character, creating a powerful impression even when you say nothing at all. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might benefit, and don't forget to subscribe to Dark Love Psychology for more insights and tips to help you succeed. And always remember, the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. True strength is calm, composed, and self-assured. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next video.